you have a lemon-sized hole in the back of your shoulder?
Yeah.
And you're throwing a temper tantrum
Yeah,
for somebody
man.
to take a look at it?
Yeah, I did not want to leave. I did not want to leave. I was really, really upset, childishly upset. But I did what I was told. Got on a helicopter. First time being medevac. Get to one of our forward surgical teams, an FST that was located somewhat close by. They took a look at it, and they're like, okay, the way we treat this is we pack this thing with this antiseptic gauze 2-3 times a day so that it closes from the inside out. We can't just sew it shut because it's going to leave this cavity inside your body that will fester and infection will happen.
What did you get hit with?
Shrapnel.
Shrapnel?
Yeah. Grenade would be my guess.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I mean, imagine if it was just, because it hit right here, man. Imagine if it was just a couple inches over. Probably would have been game over. So the initial plan was to keep me at this location, which is where our AOB leadership is located. AOB leadership is like the company level leadership. So your primary support element for the ODAs is where the AOB was at, and that's where this forward surgical team was located. And the docs are like, well, we're going to keep you here until this thing closes to make sure that you don't get an infection. And I was like, okay, cool. And after like 3 days, man, I really started to get fidgety and uncomfortable. And I'm in the talk, and the guys are carrying on. They're going on ops. And for the first time, I'm watching some of these things happen through ISR sensors, which was a weird perspective. Just sitting in there in the jock going, this is what we look like while we're out doing our thing? This is what we look like. I'd never seen it before.
Yeah.
And I'm just getting more and more frustrated day after day after day. Maybe 6-7 days goes by, and I've had enough. I'm at my breaking point. And I grabbed one of my buddies was on the B team, and I said, bring me down to the tarmac. The only way that we could get for the team to get resupplied was for rotary wing or fixed wing to come out of Bagram. That's where they all generated from. There were no flights that were coming out of where I was located back to where my camp was. So I needed to get to Bagram at some point to get back to the team. And after a week or so, I convinced one of my buddies to drive me down to the tarmac at that base. And I went from one C-130 to another. And I think on my third one, just talking to the crew, I'm like, are any of you guys going to Bagram? And he's like, yeah, we're about to go to Bagram right now. I'm like, can I come with you? And they're like, sure. So I get on a plane, and I take off and I land at Bagram. No one knows that I'm gone.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So I end up at Bagram, and I'd only been at Bagram like once before, and that was just when we first got into country, and we were there like a day, and then we were flown out to our actual site. So I really wasn't familiar with Bagram. I land at the airport. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I meander my way over to the soft compound, and I walk into the jock. Now this is where the SOTF is located, like our battalion level command. I walk into the jock, and the SOTF commander is like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I need a flight back to my team. And he's like kind of confused. And the SOTF sergeant major, my battalion command sergeant major is right there. And he's like, but like they're all trying to figure out what am I doing there? Like, how did I get there? And as I'm standing there, the phone rings. And remember, I just left where my company level command was located. The phone rings, and Sergeant Major picks up the phone, and it's my company Sergeant Major. And I can hear him screaming on the other end of the phone. And CSM's looking at me, kind of smiling. Yep, no, he's right here in front of me. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this definitely is about me. So I'm like, am I about to be like court-martial? I have no idea what's gonna happen, but I know I'm in trouble. I'm like, this is about to suck. And CSM hands me the phone. He's like, your Sergeant Major wants to talk to you. I'm like, that's okay, get off my, hey, Sergeant Major. He just comes completely unglued. What the fuck are you doing here? What are you thinking? Yelling and screaming. So roger that. Yes, roger that, Sergeant Major. Nope, I know you're right. And then at the end of that, he's like, listen, dude, I get it, man. Like, I get it. You want to get back to your guys. Don't ever fucking do that again. And I'm like, roger that. So I hang up. CSM kind of thinks it's funny. Trying to be professional, but also kind of snickering. I'm like, I need to ride back now. And the doc, who had made the initial decision to keep me at that base until this healed up completely, he had entered the jock. And he's like, no, I told you, like, we're waiting until you're completely healed. And in that moment, right around that time, my team is out on an op and they get into an engagement. And now I'm watching it on a screen in the jock. And my team sergeant takes a round, which ended up being to his abdomen.
Shit.
So I'm watching this happen. These guys are reacting to contact. They're in a fight. And now my team sergeant's hit. And I come completely and totally unglued in the jock in that moment, yelling, screaming, like throwing chairs, right? Like a immature temper tantrum. And demanding that someone gets me a helicopter to get me back to the guys, like, now. And the doc dug in. He's like, no. And then my commander was like, hey, dude, I don't know how you're going to tell this guy no. Like, good luck keeping him here. So it was maybe a day or two later that they put me back on a bird. I was still dealing with the wound, but I knew it was relatively easy to treat. You know, my medics were more than capable of packing this thing twice a day themselves.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that there was a real risk to me, my health. And they saw it that way, with a little convincing from me, just kind of flipping out. But then I was back with the guys after that, and then right back to work.
Damn.
You know. So then it was just, 2-3 times a day they're packing this thing. We're going out on ops. I'd bleed through the bandage, whatever. We just kind of managed it. It really wasn't that big of a deal. That went on for another couple weeks, and then it was closed up, and then we were good. And then right around that time is when I was wounded for the second time. First time was in September. We infilled in September. This happened in September. And then in November was when I was wounded for the second time. Right around the time my shoulder had closed up, mostly anyway. I ended up taking an AK-47 round to the side of my face.
Jesus.
Yeah. And sounds a lot worse than it is. So you hear someone say, like, I got shot in the face. You imagine that if they're talking to you, like, half their face would be, removed. Mine, it just grazed my cheek. And the quick story is, we were coming back from an op.
Well, let's do the long story.
Okay. Coming back from an op, I'm in the trail vehicle. Lead vehicle has my detachment commander in it and some other dudes. And they hit estimated 300-400 pound IED. Decimates this Mat V, right? And all I see is the truck. I'm working out of a hatch, so I'm up with the visual above the vehicle. Hear the boom. Truck is airborne. Just picked this thing up and tossed it like a rag doll. And I see bodies literally flying through the sky. One of which was my buddy, one of my weapons guys, teammate, who was in the turret of that truck, just like a lawn dot. Truck, him, smoke, obviously, and this thing lands off to the side of the road, in a depression inside of an apple orchard, is what it was. So a lot of really small trees. I had never seen an IED like that caused that much destruction before. We had hit some prior to, but nothing nearly to this scale. So it's obviously a shock. And we've obviously rehearsed, react to IED hundreds and hundreds of times. I know what my job is, and I don't execute on that requirement. I don't do my job. Instead, I jump out of the hatch in a moving Mat V and jump off the side of the truck and take off in a sprint on foot towards the vehicle. A lead vehicle gets hit. I'm in a trail vehicle. I think we had maybe 4 trucks out that day. So it's like a 200 to 250-ish yard distance between me and where this vehicle has now landed. And I'm in a balls out sprint towards the vehicle. I get to it. This was the initiation of a complex ambush. So we're getting Dishka, PKM, indirect, and RPGs all at the same time.
Fuck.
So the trucks are maneuvering, doing the right thing, getting into support by fire positions. Right, the captain's in the lead vehicle, so he's down. Our warrant officer immediately takes command of the element. He's gathering information. Team sergeant's getting ready to start making tactical decisions, but they're getting the truck set to then decide how we're going to respond. And I'm already on foot moving towards this truck. I get maybe 30, 40 meters from it, and I slide off the side of the road into this depression, this apple orchard, and it's November, so there's not a lot of vegetation on these trees. It's mostly branches, so you can see through the orchard pretty good. I can see the truck, and it's on its driver's side. Okay, it's on its the driver's side door is pinned against the ground. Passenger side door is facing the sky, and I'm maneuvering towards it recklessly. Right, this wasn't like a tactical, I don't think I was even at the low ready. I think I was just like sprinting towards this thing, rifle in hand, and I trip and fall. And what I had tripped on was my teammate who was in the turret. He had landed about 35 or so meters from the truck. So I trip and fall, didn't see him, eat shit, turn around, and it's my boy Nate. I know everyone in the truck is dead before I get there. I'm convinced of it. Like when I saw that destruction, I'm like, I'm going to roll up on 5 or 6 bodies. That's what I'm about to see. Trip on Nate, turn around, and he's alive. And I'm like, holy shit. Okay, he's incoherent. He's obviously dealing with some severe blast injury. His leg is snapped in half, just below his knee. But he's alive. And it takes a second for me to be like, what the fuck am I looking at? Okay. So I do like a quick sweep on him, right? Training at this point does what it's supposed to do. And do a quick sweep on him. And he's like making sounds, he's gasping, but he's breathing and he's not bleeding profusely from anywhere, which are 2 good signs to get pretty quickly. And within just a couple seconds, the truck starts to get engaged by 3 dismounted fighters, enemy fighters. They hadn't seen me yet. They were just aimlessly or just kind of irrelevantly just shooting AKs at the truck, right? And I can hear it. My back is to the truck, but I hear like ting, 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 ting. It was a new sound. So I snap around and I see these 3 combatants shooting at the truck. So I have to make a really difficult decision to leave my friend and go deal with this threat. That was the first time I was put into a position like that. I did what I was trained to do at this point, and I leave Nate, who's like asking me for help, which was really hard to do. Eliminate 2 out of 3, right? Boom. The third takes off running, and I'm maneuvering through these trees. He's kind of running on an angle away from me, and he's firing his AK over his shoulder while running away. And I'm trying to get an angle, through this orchard. And next thing you know, I'm on my ass and I'm looking up at the sky. I just see the blue sky. I'm like, what the fuck just happened to me? And my initial thought was that I had run into one of the branches of one of these trees, and it just knocked me down. I didn't find out for a while later, like over an hour later, that I'd actually been clipped by one of the AK rounds that this idiot was just spraying over his shoulder, right? I get up, not knowing what had knocked me down, and my initial thought is to continue to engage on this guy, but I noticed that the vehicle, the truck that had hit the IED, was now on fire.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.